Okay, let's start. Delphi, we're going to do exactly as we did before. I need to switch operating systems. So we're going to do the start, set X to 3, and end in Delphi, one of the programming languages that you can write your programs in. So, what we have in Delphi is Pascal, and we've seen Pascal, or you've had a look at Pascal hopefully, which doesn't contain as many items as this does, but it's the same method. If I want to declare a variable called x, I need to be in the variable section, and I need to say x is an integer, end it with a semicolon, the same that I did in Pascal. But the problem is when I am dealing with the implementation, I cannot just write things, because I have a different style of programming altogether. What I have is a visual version, so I need to put things on my form, and what I'm going to do is put a button on my form. So I've clicked the OK button here, and I'm going to draw out a button on there. Don't really want to go too much into detail on the graphic side of it, but its name is button 1, which isn't very good. And if we look down here, I've got all sorts of bits and pieces that are to do with just the button, and this is its caption, its name. If I call this one my button, it will change the wording on the button to my button. That hasn't changed its name. It has a particular name, which here we go, name button 1. I can change the name to be my button, and that is fine. And what that will do, when I click on it, it will give me some code in here just for my button, and I'm going to set my variable inside there. So how to do that? If I double click on my button, it will create the code for me and drop me in the area. Now the top line we're going to ignore for the time being, but it's going to be incredibly important later, and it's one of the very few programming languages which actually use the word procedure, but we will look at that later. What I do want you to notice is that it's got a begin and it's got an end with a semicolon, and then we've got an end, and that's the end of my program altogether. Now this is called a subroutine, and we're not necessarily dealing with the subroutine at the moment, but it's necessary to show you what it looks like. So actually I'm dealing with this predefined process rather than just the process, which is why Delphi sort of differs from the other languages at the moment. It's a little bit more complex. I probably needed to leave this until the end of my section of videos, but if you followed the Pascal one, it's exactly the same now. So in the Pascal one, I had program, and then what my program was called with a colon at the end, and then straight after that I needed to declare my variables, which is what I'm doing now. Variable x is of type integer. Ooh, if only I could spell. That's better. And then between the begin and end, as I did with Pascal, and remember that the white space, the indentation, is not needed, I'm going to set my variable to be equal to 3. Okay, and the assignment operator is not just x equals 3, but x colon equals 3. So that's that. So whenever I click the button on my form, X will be set to 3. Nothing is going to happen because I'm only setting the variable. So if I save my project, and just like I did in Java, if I press the green button to run it, fingers crossed, there's my form, there's my button. So this is just a window, and I press my button, I've now set X equal to 3, but we can't see anything happening. And when I press close, I go back to the design method. So Delphi's got some nice features, graphical features. However, we can't just use Delphi at school. We don't have the program, and this is one of the things that cost quite a bit of money to get hold of. But we can use VBA, Visual Basic for Applications, which I did say I wasn't going to go into, but because it looks so similar to Delphi, I will show you one or two things that go with it. Also, if we notice down here, I get some hints as to what's happening. It says the value is assigned to X, but it's never used. We tend to get that in a lot of programs. It tells us if we've used things or if we haven't. So at some later stage when I finish my program and I've got a couple of hundred variables in there, I could probably get rid of all the ones I never use. So that's Delphi. On to the next. We're going to look at VBA, Visual Basic for Applications, just to show you a comparison with this.